Hey, welcome to Diligent Dad. My name is Andrew. It's my pleasure to support you in your early steps of fatherhood. What I want to talk to you about today is how to hold a baby. For the purposes of this demonstration, my willing assistant is the 4-week-old Jack. Now he is 4 weeks old. He's definitely a lot bigger than he was when he was born 4 weeks ago. But to all intents and purposes, the way that I would hold Jack now is exactly the way I would have held him the day he was born in the delivery suite. So a few principles, okay? And the first main principle is that the baby's head is so big and so heavy that the baby is actually, his neck muscles aren't developed enough to be able to hold it. So at the moment, Jack can try and lift his head occasionally, but after like a couple of seconds, the muscles in his neck get tired and his head flops back to wherever it came from. It's our responsibility. Anytime we lift him, we have to be super confident that we have got a hand ready, or we know him well enough, we've got a hand ready to catch his head if it does flop off at an unnatural angle, because he may not be able to lift it back. Okay, so in this position, in the over-the-shoulder position, I've got Jack in now. It's kind of the first position I'd be thinking of. In the over-the-shoulder position, I'm pretty confident. I know Jack now that he won't let his head flop off to the side or to the back. So, but certainly when he was first born, I would have been having my hand up here probably just to make sure that his head stayed roughly where it needs to stay, in line with his spine. Okay, this is the over-the-shoulder position. Take the majority of his weight, my hand against his bum, and arms up over the shoulder. This arms over the shoulder opens up the airway, helps any bubbles or gas or wind that he might have in his stomach to come up as a burp. And it means that I can hold him like this. When I want to swap him, I slide my hands up underneath his arms, make sure I've got my fingers are near his head, and just change him over onto the other side. Okay, great. Burping position, my shoulders kind of working into his stomach a bit just to help those bubbles come up if they're stuck down there for a bit. And I can just walk around with him like this. If I'm walking around the house with Jack, this is the way that I'm normally doing it. Got my hand available, my thumb is under his elbow or under his armpit, and my fingers are just against his back. And that's the sort of pressure that I'd be thinking. I want to be tapping on his back just to help those bubbles come up. Always having a hand, always having my fingers ready to jump up against his head just in case it does flop off to the side if he gets a bit tired. Okay, so that's the first position. Second position then is the cradle, which you'd be most familiar with, or you're probably most familiar with having seen the cradle position. Maybe it's the most conventional way to carry a baby. And to do this, obviously, I'm going to make sure that as I'm moving him from the over-the-shoulder position into the cradle position, that I'm keeping control of his head. So there, I've got my fingers against his head now. I've got my left fingers and my right elbow. And I've moved him down into that. Now, Jack's a bit unhappy. I think he might be a bit hungry. But in this position, I've got left hand's completely free. I've got his head supported in the nook of my elbow. My right arm sort of running across his upper back. My right hand is hooked under his bum and legs, and the left hand side of his body is against mine. So so Jack is pretty nicely held there. I can obviously rock him if I need to. I can put his dummy back in if I need to. He would normally be pretty comfortable there. He's a little bit hungry at the moment, hence why he is protesting ever so slightly. Hungry/tired, aren't we, Jack? And those are probably the two main ways that I would typically carry Jack for any length of time. Now, if I was to pass him to someone, I'm always thinking to myself, when I'm passing him to someone, I want to take control of his head for over 50% of the pass, make sure that the other person has definitely got a good hold of his head before I pass him over. And also, I want to offer that person as much of Jack's body area to get hold of in order to get a nice firm grip so that hopefully he doesn't get dropped. So when I'm about to pass him, I've got my fingers up under his thumbs are under his arms like this, fingers around the back of his head, and I'm able to offer him out to someone like this so they can get their fingers in around his body, hopefully gets his fingers somewhere near his head. And he looks a bit crunched up there, but he's safe. He's not going to be held in this for any longer than a couple of seconds till I pass him over, to someone else when they'll probably turn him around like this, put his arms over the shoulder like this, and maybe take over the burping, or just carry him there for a bit, let him have a look around the room, and he'd probably sit up there. Jack could probably sit up there for 5-10 minutes now if I needed to, if I had a couple of jobs on or anything like that. If you have any questions, pop them into the comments below and I'll get back to you. Or anything else, any other alternatives that you try, I'd be very interested to hear if I'm missing anything. You've been watching Diligent Dad with a noisy Jack. Subscribe to the bell icon and you'll be notified when I'm dropping new videos twice a week. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you again soon. Bit more milk, Jack? I think so, buddy. Let's do it.